if you had told me that years ago, I would have, my mind would have been blown.
If you had told me this years ago, I would have completely lost my mind. Those words came from Alex Eala on April 7th, 2026, world number 46, standing in Mallorca with the man who engineered 22 Grand Slam titles, the architect of the greatest clay court dynasty in tennis history. And when Aryna Sabalenka heard who was now in Eala's corner, the world number one made it clear.
Every time I go there, it's like a challenge for me, even though I love playing on clay and I feel really good, but it seems like to be a challenge for me.
This Filipino is something special. What happened in the week that followed revealed exactly why the entire WTA is paying attention. Subscribe now, because the next 3 months will determine whether Eala's rise is a story or a revolution. Early April 2026, Eala returned to the Rafa Nadal Academy, not as a visiting trainee, but as a professional, bringing Toni Nadal into her coaching team. Toni, the uncle, the strategist, the man who turned a 4-year-old from Manacor into the most dominant force clay has ever seen. Joan Bosch remains Eala's main coach, but Toni Nadal is now part of the setup, providing the exact tactical blueprint that built Rafael Nadal. While Sabalenka was steamrolling through 2026 with a 23-1 record and 3 titles, something shifted in Mallorca. The world number one has been untouchable this season. 3 titles, 11,000 ranking points, the benchmark every rising player measures themselves against. But in recent interviews, Sabalenka said something that stopped the tennis world cold. She called Eala something special, not promising, not talented, special. Those are not words the reigning number one uses lightly about a player ranked 46th, unless she has seen something the rest of us are only beginning to understand. And what Sabalenka saw was a 20-year-old who had just gained access to the one coach who knows exactly how to build a player capable of dethroning her. Eala's own words tell you everything you need to know about what this moment meant.
So great, and we're so blessed to have Toni as part of the team.
It's so great, and we're so blessed to have Toni as part of the team, she said in her April 7th interview. If you had told me that years ago, my mind would have been blown. He really has that knowledge and is able to help my team. So yeah, just a great experience overall. Mind blown. That is the reaction of someone who grew up watching Toni Nadal turn his nephew into the king of clay, and who now gets to stand across the net in practice while that same tactical genius dissects her movement patterns, her shot selection, her clay court positioning. The footage from Mallorca showed exactly what that looked like. Toni on court, Eala grinding through drills, the same red clay that forged Rafa's legacy now molding the next generation. But Toni Nadal does not work with just anyone. 22 Grand Slam titles, 14 French Opens, the greatest coaching resume in tennis history, and he chose to be part of Alex Eala's team. Monday, training sessions in Mallorca with Toni breaking down clay court tactics. Tuesday, more footage of movement drills and strategic adjustments. Wednesday, Eala posts to social media with Vamos energy that sends Filipino fans into a frenzy. Thursday, she arrives in Linz for her first clay tournament of 2026. The blueprint was not theoretical, it was immediate. April 7th, Upper Austria Ladies Linz, Round 1, Eala versus Julia Grabher. A local favorite with home court energy and a game built for clay. Eala won 6-4, 6-3, but the scoreline does not tell the story. Eala saved 9 out of 10 break points. Under pressure, the exact kind of suffocating, relentless pressure that clay produces, she held, she fought, she executed. That is not luck. That is coaching. That is weeks of Toni Nadal drilling into her head the same principles he drilled into Rafa. Movement first, patience second, trust the process every single point. Put yourself in Grabher's position. You are the higher-ranked player on home soil. The crowd is yours. The surface favors your game. And across the net is a 20-year-old who just spent 2 weeks learning from the man who built the most unbeatable clay player in history. You lose in straight sets. the tennis world noticed. Tournament officials confirmed the buzz around Eala's matches was unlike anything they had seen from a player ranked outside the top 40. Filipino fans flooded the venue. Social media exploded with comparisons and predictions. And Sabalenka, the player who has dominated 2026 with ruthless precision, went on record calling Eala something special. When the world number one says that about a player still fighting to crack the top 30, she is not offering a compliment. She is issuing a warning. Aryna Sabalenka has won multiple Grand Slams. She entered 2026 as the unquestioned leader of the WTA. 23 wins, 1 loss, 3 titles, 11,000 ranking points separating her from the field. She does not throw around praise for players ranked 46th in the world, but when asked about rising threats, Sabalenka made her position clear. Alex Eala is something special. She noted that everyone wants to play the number one, but only a select few actually have the tools to challenge for that spot. Sabalenka recognizes what is happening. The same academy that produced Rafa Nadal now has Toni Nadal personally invested in a Filipino star who is learning to move, to think, to grind the exact way Rafa did. That is not a compliment. That is an acknowledgement. The number one is watching, and she knows what comes next. The 2026 clay season has just begun. Linz was the opening act. Madrid, Rome, and Roland Garros are coming. Toni Nadal's influence on Eala is not a story that peaks in April. It is a serialized transformation that will play out across the next 3 months on the surface where Toni built his legacy. Sure, tournament directors in Madrid and Rome are already tracking Eala's entry lists. French Open schedulers know that a Filipino star trained by Toni Nadal will sell tickets and generate global viewership, especially if she continues to win. This is the WTA's demographic power shift in real time. Non-traditional markets like the Philippines are no longer relying on luck or occasional breakout moments. They are gaining direct pipelines to European tennis royalty. Eala is not an outlier. She is the blueprint. And Sabalenka, dominant as she is, now faces a new reality. The next generation is not just talented. They are being trained by the greatest coach in the sport's history. Eala lost in the round of 16 in Linz April 8th. Jelena Ostapenko, the same player who beat Sabalenka on clay last year, defeated Eala 6-4, 7-5. Straight sets. No heroic comeback. A clean loss to a top 20 opponent. But Eala's response told you everything about what Toni has been teaching her. After the round 1 win, she spoke about maintaining intensity, thanked her Filipino supporters in Tagalog, and emphasized the process over the result. She did not make excuses. She did not dwell. She competed in her first clay match of 2026 just days after the Toni training block and showed exactly the kind of fight that wins titles later in a career. Ostapenko is a former French Open champion. Losing to her in week 1 of the clay season is not a setback. It is a benchmark. The man who turned Rafael Nadal into the king of clay is now part of Alex Eala's team. The world number one is calling her something special. Linz was just the beginning. Eala stood on the same Mallorca clay where Rafa built his legacy and admitted, "If you had told me this years ago, my mind would have been blown." The blow has landed. The blueprint is in place, and the 2026 clay season is about to show the entire WTA what happens when a 20-year-old Filipino star gets access to the greatest coaching mind the sport has ever seen. This is not hype. This is mythology becoming reality. Can Toni Nadal turn Alex Eala into a clay court threat capable of challenging Sabalenka at the top? Or will the established order hold? Drop your prediction in the comments. Subscribe now, because the next 3 months will determine whether Eala's rise is a story or a revolution. Madrid, Rome, and Roland Garros are coming. Toni Nadal does not build projects. He builds champions. And you are watching it happen in real time.